First of all, how exciting was it to score that first college touchdown? And can you describe the play?
Uh, Honestly, it was very exciting. That was my first one. I was hoping to get it last year, but I stayed down and waited my time. So that was exciting to finally get the first one. But I mean, honestly, like the once they made the play call, I had my mind set like when I was making the touchdown, and when I got the ball, I kind of just made a play. It was more like a instincts type thing. I just did what I did.
What does it mean for you to play in an offense that gives you the ability to catch the ball in space like that and then use your abilities to make a big play?
Uh, I think I actually really enjoy it. It was it was like in high school, I was at two running schools, so I had a slightly opportunity to catch the ball, and then coming in, we didn't throw the ball as much, but I feel like I can be dangerous and from the slot position and being able to catch the ball in space and make plays. So I feel like that's very crucial to this offense and very helpful to my abilities.
And how important is it for you guys this week, opening up conference play, to play well against Temple?
Um, well, last year I feel like we could have done a lot better if we did actually open up the offense and throw the ball a lot more. And they play a lot of man defense, so I feel like us opening up that playbook and throwing the ball will really like exploit their vulnerabilities. So I think that'll really be helpful this week.
Thanks.
Wags.
Hey, Brandon, good to see you. How are you, pal?
I'm doing good. How about you?
Great. So I have to admit, I was in the press box, and after you caught the screen pass and made a couple moves, and it looked like everything was closing down on you, I was yelling, "Get out of bounds!" because the clock was a factor. And when you cut it back, I'm like, "What's he doing?" And then it's kind of like, "Oh, yeah, good play." But did you never think about going out of bounds and try to stop the clock there?
Yeah, I mean, in situations like that, I mean, your mind's always on going out of bounds and, like being aware of the clock and everything. And I feel like, you know, there's also the fact, like the playmaking factor. So it's like you either go out of bounds or you don't. But if you don't, you better make a play. So it's kind of like that. And I remember last year during the Army Navy game, there was like a play where I caught an out route and I like got tackled like going out of bounds, but I feel like I could have made a move and stayed in and possibly scored a touchdown. So I feel like in situations like that, it's either you go out of bounds or don't, but you better make a play. And Coach Cronic said something similar to that this week in meetings. So
I also reminded Wags that the clock stops on a first down too, so you didn't
yeah,
necessarily have to get out of bounds.
that's true. That's true as well. And we had a timeout, so
All
a
right,
lot of things
all
that
right.
go into
I was wrong. How are you a different player from this time last year?
Well, I was able to put on. Well, first of all, this is my first full summer. The summer before I got injured in the spring, so I didn't get the full summer workout. So this was my first time getting the full summer. So with Coach K's program, I was able to put on 15 pounds, and then I was able to, like build my explosiveness and just get more solid as a whole. So I got faster, got stronger, and got bigger. So I feel like that adds like a whole different factor to my game.
Well, and Pete Metters was bringing that up. I mean, he thought that run there at the end of the first half showed the increased size, strength of Brandon Chatman, and that you were able to break some tackles, run through some traffic. Did you feel that was kind of evidence of what you're talking about?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, even the coaches were telling me during fall camp, I seem like more explosive and stronger, and it's also showing up in my blocking too. Feel like I improved greatly on that. So I think that's what it was.
So it was obvious from the opener that the snipes are going to be a key weapons in this offense, and the Coach Cronic's going to put the ball in your hands. After the game, Coach Newberry said we need to get the ball in the hands of number 22 and number 24 as often as possible. Can you talk about how good does that feel to hear your coach say that, number one, and how good does it feel that Coach Cronic has clearly made your position group a go-to guy in this offense?
I mean, honestly, it's an honor. I was with Coach Newberry since my freshman year when he was still the defensive coordinator. So, I was there with him going against our starting defense every day while I was on scout and I was making plays. So, he's kind of watched me grow. So and I've seen him grow as a coach as well. So to hear him say that, it was an honor. But it's no surprise to me because me and Eli, we work hard, we work together, and we make plays. So that's I like that. And like as for Coach Cronic, I mean, I really enjoy his offense, and he's a mastermind. Honestly, he's cooking something up. So I trust everything he's doing, and he knows how to get players in open space and allow them to make plays. So we got some things in the works.
What can you say about Eli? I mean, he obviously is an outstanding player. He had a great season opener. He's returning punts to set up scores. I think that he set up your screen pass touchdown with a nice punt return.
Yeah.
But he's obviously a key playmaker for this offense, Eli.
Yeah, no, he's a great player and a great guy. I mean, we came in the same class together, so we've been together the past couple of years, and off season, we put in work together, and I watched him grind and get better. But honestly, he's just a great person to be around and a great guy. Like he, I trust him being on the field. We played the same position last year, so it was me and him. So we had to work closely a lot. But when I wasn't on the field, I trusted him if anybody. So me and him being on the field together, like that's big. And just like being around him, I feel like he creates like a fun environment. He likes to laugh, make jokes, and he dances a lot. Like after our win, he was going crazy in the locker room. So just great guy to be around.
I see Pete's joined up. Pass it along to him.
8, you're currently sideways on my screen, but you're up.
They tell you to make it, sideways or whatever. Brandon, can you describe the process of trying to get stronger in the off season, but also maintain speed? Because when you add a few pounds for a running back, sometimes it sacrifices speed a little bit. But can you just talk about what that process was like for you, and probably on display during that big screen pass where you just powered through guys and wouldn't be denied getting to the end zone?
Yeah, it was definitely tough. That was my biggest concern. Like, the coaches told me they wanted me to gain weight. So I talked to Coach K, and I was like, I want to get bigger, but I don't want to sacrifice my speed. And, he kind of like talked to me about the science behind it and everything. And he told me that the amount of food that I was eating and the amount of work that we are doing, they had me on a plan where they were trying to get me to gain like a pound a week. And the workouts that we were doing in the summer were very taxing. So with that pound, I have a whole week, to, get used to it. So I feel like that was good and helping me, maintain my speed and everything while I gain weight. But it was also tough just eating, I mean, like with the academy, it's, we're like on like a fixed schedule. And then with football, it takes away a lot of our time. So there's times where we have like 10 minutes to eat. So the times where it's not breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I have to eat snacks, or, at night in my room, it's a lot of force feeding, when you don't want to eat, or you had a tough workout and you don't feel very good. So, it's a hard process, I would say, especially being here. But, we made it work, and I trusted Coach K's program, and he got me where I needed to be.
I know they renamed your position, but how dramatically different is it from the one you played previously?
It's not very different. It's the same position. The only thing that I would say is the biggest difference is the mentality. Coach Cole brings a different mentality to it. He says that we're elite snipers and we're going to be better than every position on the field. We're going to make plays and we're going to practice harder than everybody. So I feel like with changing the name, he changed the mentality, and, we just attack it a different way, and we just, practice way harder. Allows us to play harder.
Is the terminology at all significantly different, similar? Was that a challenge at all?
No, it's the same. It's the same position, it's literally just a different name.
What do you like the most about having a role now where you are leading? I mean, you and Eli are expected to lead in that position that you're in. This position has a chance to be an elite playmaker in this offense every single play. How do you manage the enormity of that, responsibility, but yet embrace it, because that's something obviously every player works for?
I mean, I enjoy it, but it's definitely different. Like, you have to take a different approach. So all the younger guys, they're coming in and they're getting used to, well, first of all, we were already getting, we had to spring with Coach Cole. So we had to get used to, how he coached and everything, and he had to instill things into us. And now he kind of passed the torch, so we're instilling things into the younger guys. But I also, I like to make it more like, like a tiny mentorship, but more like they're on the same level as me. You know, the younger guys, there's things that I see that I feel like they could do better at or whatever. So I would always say something or give them tips or try to lead and help them out. But I also want them to understand that they can say something to us as well. I feel like even when you become a leader, you never stop learning. So we have to be able to give them advice, but they also can't be scared to say anything, and that's how we're going to prevail as a position group and as a team.
Is there a feeling out process when you get a new voice in the room like that, where I mean, you hear it, but when does that trust kind of finally click in there, and how long does that process take to develop that relationship?
Honestly, I feel like you gotta do more leading by example. So in the off season, when the plebes, I mean, they're still plebes, but football wise, they're plebes no more. So we're all on the same level, and we start putting in that work, getting ready for spring ball. But we're doing fourth quarters and mat drills and stuff like that. And you kind of got to lead from the front, and you got to be the guy that coaches are calling out in meetings and saying that this is the standard, and then they see that, and then when you get in certain workouts, then you bring them along. You say, "Oh, come run by me." And then you push them and they push you, and then a bond forms, and then that trust starts to build going both ways.
Did you use the tablets at all, you personally, on the sidelines in the opener?
Yeah, that was a great addition too. So I mean, yeah, like literally got off the field and then watched the plays over and over. So we kind of seen things that we wouldn't have seen, like in previous years, because like you can come to the sideline and coach can say something, but you don't fully remember the play, versus coming to the sideline and he's showing you the play and showing you what you can do better or what you did well. So I think that was a big evolution.
Thank you.
Of course.
Thanks.
Can you maybe talk about some of the younger guys? I saw Isaiah Bryant got a good amount of time out there on the field on Saturday. Looks like he's coming along. What can you say about Isaiah and maybe some of the other younger snipes that are, showing some things?
Yeah, Isaiah's a great player. He's also from Florida, so he got something a little different to him. But he's one of the guys that I was talking about, where like we were in the workouts in the spring, and I kind of pulled him along. I was like, "Yeah, run with me," and he ran with me, and he pushed himself to be better, and that also pushed me to be better. So he's willing to put in the work, and he's very athletic. He's a great player. So I seen him do some pretty good things. And honestly, when he's on the field, I'm excited. And then another guy is Joshua Guerin. He plays the Z. He's on the opposite side, so he's just getting back in everything, coming from X. But he's also a great player, and he's also from Florida. So I don't know, it's something about them Florida guys, but those are definitely two guys that I expect to see do something great this season.
So you mentioned in the triple option, the slots were pretty much, the same. They lined up the same, did the same. You mentioned X and Z. What is the difference between the two positions? Is there a significant difference in their roles?
So the X is a receiver. The Z is part of the snipe position. So we have an A and a Z snipe, and I mean we do a lot of the same things, but I think the Z does more of what like a traditional receiver would do. So they do more receiver things, and the A do more running back things. But overall, we're the same position, because we gotta know both and be able to switch if somebody goes down.
I know that you and Eli are leaders on the field with the, you're the starters at the moment, but Amin Hassan, he's another guy that he's the captain of the position group, is he not?
Yes.
Can you talk about Amin and the leadership he brings to the whole position group?
Honestly, he brings a lot of leadership. He's like a big brother, like even though he's not starting, he didn't take that personal. He took that as a challenge. He still played in the game, but he took that as a challenge, and he understands that this is a brotherhood in the family. So we have a good day in practice. He's going to talk to us and tell us good job. But if we don't have a good day, it's kind of like a coach, but he's going to keep it real, tell us how he feels, and like lead. I honestly, I look up to him. He's a great leader in the position group, and me and Eli are second to him, so we learn a lot from him, and we kind of just like push out like what he wants for the position group. And, so we're leaders behind him.
And where's Amin from?
He's from Florida as well. South Florida, just like me.
What a coincidence.
Yeah.
So I'm good. I'll pass it along to Pete.
Pete.
You beat me to it on Amin there. Very good. Brandon, last year, this team was so close to, flipping the record, getting closer to achieving its goals. Right now, how do you guys have the patience to just take this one day at a time right now to make sure that those little detailed things don't get past you all, and you don't have those missed blocks, you don't have those pre-snap penalties that derailed this team from achieving its goals last year? But physically, you guys know if you execute, you're not that far away from being an excellent football team.
So last season it was a lot of, oh, we were one play away from this, or we were one block away from this, or we had a new offense and everything, and it looked good at times, and we're like, okay, we're a good team, like we can go to a bowl game. And we were looking too far ahead, and then you get in a close game with a bigger team, and then at times we were surprised and stuff like that. But I feel like this season we have a totally different mindset and approach. We're taking it one day at a time, one play at a time. And like I said, earlier in another interview, Coach Cronic, he teaching us the plays, and even when we already learned the plays, we make a mistake, he's not like on you like crazy. He's more like, make a different mistake, make a new mistake, don't make the same mistake. So Coach Cole, he always talks about how when he tells us to get something done, we always, we do good at fixing that. So if somebody misses a block or drops a catch, you don't take it personal. It's football. You got to have a goldfish, like a brain of a goldfish. You got to have a next play mentality. So we just keep it pushing, work on that.
We observe from the side, we can't feel it the way you do, but it looks like this is a fast football team, particularly at the skill positions. You do all the running out there with these guys. I mean, is it as fast as it certainly looks from the side right now?
Yeah, no, it is. We had a lot of guys running 21 and 20 last year. A lot of linemen and linebackers running 20 miles an hour, and then a lot of skill guys and maybe like one or two linebackers running 21 miles an hour. Like, guys are getting faster, guys are getting stronger, and we're starting to close that skill gap between us and other teams, and that's all through the Coach K's program. And shoot, we have Nathan Kent, almost an Olympian. He's pretty fast. I don't think, other than me, I don't think anybody's sticking with him.
I was going to say, I think you, Hutch, and Nathan might be up in the 22, 23 neighborhood, but being able to get that kind of information from the catapult, what does it allow you to do? Does it just confirm some things for you? And, does it maybe confirm on one day, maybe that when you felt like maybe I wasn't my best, those numbers back it up, and then the next day you get back to that level? Or is that what the catapult is able to do for you guys?
Yeah, partially, but for the most part, it's like, when we get in practice, it's more about like managing people's yards and seeing how fast you've run. And like when people may be hurt, it's like, okay, like this is your top speed and this is what speed you're getting to. So like you're looking good or you're not looking so good. And when it comes to summer workouts, it's like, okay, he's looking at yards, managing our load, but he's also trying to, get us to run fast. So the catapult has like your highest speed that you've run. And then whatever speed that you run on that day, it tells you what percentage of that speed that you ran, but also the speed that you ran. And I honestly think it kind of pushes you to go harder. So, there was a couple of days where a lot of guys, he was like, oh, this is a speed day. And, he gives us out wristbands for people that run 20 miles an hour and 21 miles an hour. So we're grinding to get a wristband. And you got a 20-mile-an-hour wristband. And you're like, yeah, I want a 21. So, and then like, the days leading up to it, it's like, okay, I ran 20.7. Like I need to do this and that to, in order to run 21. So it's kind of like, it pushes you to do better, but it also manages players and, make sure we're getting the work that we need to get.
Is it also a way maybe to push competition Monday through Friday to make sure that you compete like a competitor on Saturday?
Yes, of course.
Awesome. Great stuff. Appreciate you, man.
No problem.
Anyone else have any questions for Brandon?
Yeah, Brandon, I got one more. Nathan Kent, what does it mean to play with someone who's got speed like that and to actually run track on a national stage? You have a background in track, you ran in high school, but for Nathan to do what he does and to be really, truly a world-class sprinter.
It's an honor, honestly. I mean, he doesn't do spring ball with us because he's busy doing track. You know, I respect him for that because, you know, I mean, we're putting in work over here with football, but he's also putting in work over there and, you know, going to achieve another one of his dreams. And he goes to do that and then comes back with football. And, you know, he's right in like he never left. So I definitely commend him for that.
Is he the fastest guy you've ever played with?
No, I'm from South Florida. I've seen some fast guys, but he's
And
up there.
have you ever raced him?
I think I will win. He might have me in like 100, but you know we play football, so I got him in a 40-yard dash for sure. Yeah.
Thanks.
I'll end with one. What is it about Florida that produces so many great players, and specifically South Florida?
Honestly, we eat, breathe, and sleep football. You know, from a young age. I've been playing since I was 6, and you know, there's just a lot of competition out there. I feel like that's literally our sport, and you know, people like are big on it. People harp on it, and then also it's like a sport. It's something to do for kids. You know, like keep kids out the streets. And, you know, keep them on the field. So they're doing that instead of doing something bad. And you know, then we have coaches. Like I have a coach. You know, I have 2 coaches, Coach Snoop and Coach Jay, back at home. You know, they literally take it like they have their own lives, they have their own families, and they take time out of their day, you know, to train us and be father figures towards us. So, you know, it's more like a bond, but also, you know, it's just to help change people's situations. And I feel like, you know, people are willing to grind and, you know, coaches are willing to, you know, keep us be good examples and keep us away from bad things and just, you know, allow us to go achieve our dreams or maybe change our family lives. So I just think it's more of a mentality, and people from South Florida, you know, they grow up doing that and they want it bad.
Tell us your recruiting story a little bit. I believe you're headed to a D2 or D3 school until Navy came in at the last second.
Yeah, I was going to Warner University. I couldn't, my parents really couldn't afford it, so you know we were trying to tell the coach what we can to try to get me the most scholarship that they would give me, and I was gonna go to the school and like work and try to pay the rest of it off. And you know somewhere like literally like a week before signing day, or maybe less than a week, you know Navy reached out to me, and you know he basically told me that somebody messed up with their grades, so they gave me the opportunity and they offered me, and you know they free college. They told me I'll be able to, you know, I'll be able to take care of my family. I get to play D1 football. You know, I jumped at the opportunity, so you know that was very nice. It was rough because I was scared. Like my dad literally told me like I can't afford to pay for college, and my mom couldn't afford to pay for college, so. I was trying to figure out something to do to play the sport I love, but also have the opportunity to eventually go to the NFL and change my family's life.
What would you tell someone being recruited by Navy now about the opportunity?
I mean, I would tell them it's a great opportunity. Like, you know, it's a culture shock when you get here, and you know, coming from where we come from, you know, you might not have the best mindset coming in, but you got to have a growth mindset. You got to be willing to, you know, take a leap and learn. You know, I got a couple friends that, you know, had the opportunity to go to college and didn't, and you know, they made some decisions that they're probably going to regret for the rest of their life had they made that decision to go to college. And if had the opportunity to come here, I would tell them 100% do it. You know, it's a rough process coming through here, and you know it's hard, but you know, have a hard life now, have an easy life later. So,
Coach, what have your impressions been of this Temple defense?
They're good. I mean, yeah, I mean, you know, you look at them play against Oklahoma, and athletically, they belonged in the game. You know what I mean? And they got good athletes, and their 2 interior guys on defensive line, I think, are maybe their best 2 players, 7 and 9. I guess Gene and Morris. They're really active, big guys in there. But I look at them, I think their safeties really tackle well. They run to the ball. They're athletic. Obviously, they're going to be a lot more athletic and than what we just played against. So, yeah, I mean, they're against Oklahoma, I think they only gave up maybe like 350, 360 yards offense. And that was while, their offense had 6 turnovers. So for them to keep playing defense, like they did, I was really impressed with them. And they do a good job. They line up and they do what they do, and they're not trying to do a bunch of crazy stuff. They're just lining up and playing hard and playing fundamental and tackling well. And so be a huge challenge for us.
I mean, I would imagine you're preparing your team for a team that's got a real chip on your shoulder. Coaches like you that watch the film can break it down and see what it is. But when maybe their friends see that they're on a defense that gave up 50 plus points, they want to make sure that that's not what their image is.
Yeah, this is truly one of them deals that the score didn't indicate how well they played defense, and yeah, I think they'll come down here and be ready to try to get after us, So, but I expect our kids to do the same thing, get after them.
How do you like the development of your offensive line?
Well, I really like the effort that they played with Saturday. If you really turn on and study our film, the O line played hard. There was no there were no loafs. They were finishing plays. They were all of our kids offensively. We played hard. We didn't play good all the time, but we did play with really good effort. And so I feel like those guys are getting more and more confident up front. They're playing with a good attitude about them. They seem to be having a good time. So I'm pleased. I'm very pleased with that, with the progress there.
And how is the communication through the helmets developing with the quarterbacks?
That's good. I mean, you try to, during the week, you try to not rely on it very much in practice, because you always want to assume that something's not going to be working with it, but it worked very well, Saturday. It's a good thing to have.
Thanks, Coach.
Flags.
Drew, why don't you give us your overall assessment of Saturday's performance?
I felt like we played hard. I do. I felt like the effort was there. The passion for the game was there. I felt like we played pretty fast. We played pretty physical. There was a great deal of, like, when you see some of the explosion plays, man, there's kids downfield blocking their tail off, trying to. It was a very unselfish looking bunch of guys, just with the effort and enthusiasm, the way they played. And now we left some meat on the bone in some spots. There was some simple plays that we didn't make that will really cost us in the future. Just a couple things in the throwing game that you got to trust what you see and trust your progressions and different things. So I felt like our quarterbacks did some good things, but then we've got to eliminate some things that just, that should be very simple, some simple mistakes. So obviously we got to get the ball in Eli's hands. We got to get the ball in Chat's hands. Those kids made a lot of play. I thought those two kids played exceptionally well. Just they made things happen. And then I thought Connor, played really well at left tackle. There was some, and I felt like we were able to, and we should be able to, against Bucknell. I felt like we were able to impose our will and make them, by the second half, you could tell that it was wearing on them, some of the physical things. So that part, those were some good things. But we certainly have got to clean up some things if we want to, beat CAA opponents and win, win some of these games coming up. We've got to clean up some of those mistakes.
So in terms of the wing backs, snipe slots, whatever you want to call them, technically, what are they in the wing tee? Are they wing backs? Is that the technical proper term?
Sure.
What have you called them in the past where you've been places?
They're just our hybrid guys. We've given them different names depending on, the position coach, what he liked. And they're just they're receivers and running backs. They're good football players who can do a lot of things. We can call them wings if you want to, or slots, but I like the way snipes sound. I think Dave came up with a good name there. So, but it's just that hybrid position. You know, you can see all the different ways we tried to get them the ball.
Well, I was just going to say that was what I was driving. I mean, has at every place you've been, has that position been a key playmaker?
Yes, because it's you know you want your home run hitter. You need a home run hitter or two there, right? You guys who can do what those kids did, which was get them in space and um and they're able to do things that we don't teach at that point, right? Just be a football player and make plays, make people miss. And I felt like we broke a lot of tackles out there in space, and so those kids did that. But probably what people don't always understand as well is those two kids really in all our snipe they blocked their heinies off. Okay, I mean there were some things that Chat did in the game that 172-pound kid shouldn't be doing. Okay, and it was a very physical. I mean, he competed and he didn't back down from anything. And then Eli, Eli's 205, which helps. But his blocking in the game was outstanding. So not only were they making plays with the football, but they were really unselfish and imposing themselves in the run game as well when they didn't have the ball.
So as you looking ahead, what are some of the things you feel you need to correct, do better? Obviously, in the passing game, I think there were a couple times when Blake either missed a receiver or maybe he had some pressure and kind of wasn't able to get off the type of throw he wanted to make. And then, of course, on the one drive, you had two drops, including the one where Kent deflects off his hands into an interception, which you cannot have.
Yeah, I mean, there's some little things in some of those scenarios. You got to catch the ball, obviously. But there's things you can do from a route running standpoint that makes you a little more open and times you up a little bit better. When you watch Blake and Braxton play, there's some really good throws in there. And there's some, like the throw to Eli in the end zone was, can't throw it any better than he did. But then you can't miss a guy, that's open in the short flat, throw it behind. There's things like that. We've got to make layups, right? We can't miss layups. But those guys, if you really look at it, I think they're going to get so much better. They haven't played a lot, They just, with Blake being injured last year and, Braxton played some, but those kids just don't have a lot of game experience. So every time they go out there, you expect them to get a little more comfortable, get a little bit better. And, so that's, we need them to, right? I mean, that's, in today's world of football, if your quarterback is a really good player, you got a chance, right? So we need those guys to be able to be playmakers and get the ball, play point guard a lot, get the ball to the other guys in positions where they can score. But I think every time they get reps, they're gonna get better. And I really think that we were to the point, that the only way we were going to improve offensively was to go play somebody else. You just get to a point, in camp where it's like we've got to go play a game. And then make some mistakes in the game and correct them and be able to take steps forward. So that's what we want to do is take the things we did well and build on them, take the mistakes and correct them. Because the challenge is this is a big game this Saturday. We need to be, we need to really understand what we're doing and hit the layups, and when the bullet's in the gun, it needs to fire, and all the other cliches, that have to happen to beat really good teams.
Obviously, Alex is a weapon. He was not, he didn't have a lot of touches necessarily. Well, he did on coming out of the backfield, but it wasn't one of his bigger games. Do you envision, first of all, did it seem to you like Bucknell was focusing on Alex a little bit? And do you sense that now that you've shown you can get the ball to slots, to tight ends, to receivers, that's going to maybe prevent teams from focusing on a guy like Alex?
Well, Alex is a good player. Okay. And so what you want offensively, the perfect storm is to not be able to focus on one guy, right? You want to be able to distribute the football to different people. And, in our system, when you got, snipes that make plays, you got some B-backs that can do some things, you got a split end. It was nice to see our tight ends make some plays in the game. So be able to move the ball around where you can't just key in on one guy. That's what you want to get to, but you certainly have special playmakers that you need to get touches as well. So I just think each game, Dobbin had some good runs too. I think those two guys being a 1-2 punch there, but they'll be throughout the season. There'll be wrinkles. There'll be different things as we move forward to try to find ways to get the balls in the hands of the guys who can do things with it. So, so we'll kind of see how all those things go. But yeah, Teska's got to touch the ball, no question.
Thanks.
Pete,
Coach, up front, you mentioned Connor earlier. What did you think overall as you talked with Coach Guillermo and you guys looked at the film? What did you think overall of what you got up front from your offensive line?
Well, I just think they played extremely hard. Okay, I mean we came off the ball, you know, and knocked people back. And you can't help who you're playing, you know. And I don't, you know, what is, you know, who is Bucknell and what will they become? That remains to be seen. They may win some games. I think they're going to win some games in that league. But at the same time, I thought our guys came off the ball well. They executed pretty much. Now we had a couple things. There was one thing protection wise. It was just a mental error. You know, there were a few technical things, just getting things fit a certain way. And then we had to adjust. I thought the kids did a decent job adjusting because they played a kind of a different front than we were expecting. So, you know, we had to kind of get on there and get on those iPads and, you know, and just go, hey, this is, we can kind of, you know, live in, there were certain run plays that we kind of went to. So they made some adjustments there, but I thought up front, I mean, and I've had a lot of people say this, I thought that was just from an effort standpoint. They just looked like they were having fun and playing confident, enjoying themselves playing ball. And I think that's really important, you know, to get out there and turn it loose. You know, we've talked a lot about just not, you know, the fear of failure, right? We're not going to, that's not the way we're going to play around here now. Okay. We're not going to, you know, we don't want to, you know, we want it to bother us to mess up, but we don't want one mistake to turn into 5 mistakes, you know, for the next 5 plays. And I think just trying to get the kids to play free, you know, to go out and if you make a mistake, make it full speed. If you're going to block the wrong guy, block the dog out of him and attack people. And that was probably the part I enjoyed the most about the game, especially turning on the film, was watching those young men celebrate together in the end zone. Okay. Watching them all get there and sprint down. It was all 11 of them. Okay. And on Daba's first run, I mean, you can see everyone in big boys running down the field excited about a long Russian explosion play. You know, and so that's the part that is just such a great attitude, right? It's a fun thing to be around. So, and it was all positions too. I mean, it was, you know, like when Eli scored, we just threw a little ball out in the flat to him. It was the right read. It was a good throw. And certainly he made a couple guys miss, but he also had, you know, Scully getting over there and getting a knockdown block, and Kent over there getting a block to get him in the end zone. And then Cam Nichols shows up down there and has a knockdown block. So it was those kind of things that, that are fun as a coach to watch. Just watch kids that are totally out there selling out for each other. So that's what I saw. We can correct mistakes. If we have an attitude like that, then we'll be the best we can be. And I don't know how many wins that is. You know what I'm saying? I don't know how many points that is, but I do know that that's what I want for these kids. You know, these young men have been through a lot. They do a lot every day. You know, they've chosen a challenging path here at the Naval Academy, and I want football to be fun and physical and gritty and just together. You know, that's what I saw, and that was very, very satisfying for me as a coach.
Jake Norris, opportunity knocks for him. You know, makes the most of them. As you said, you got to make the layups, and both of those plays, those would have been considered layups. The routes were open, but just the fact that, you know, hey, the process, catching the ball, doing what you're supposed to do for a guy that,
those
you
are
know,
third downs too. You
yeah,
know, those are keep us on the field. So yeah, outstanding. You know, and you just don't ever know. You know, you know, he happened to be in there on a couple of those plays, and certainly did a good job. Did exactly what he was coached to do on those 2 plays, and they weren't just difficult plays, but there's a kid just executing right. And quarterback reading it correctly and getting him the ball and keeping us on the field. So it was a good job there.
Appreciate it. Thank you.
Go back one more, make another trip around. Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, now having gone through spring practice, through the fall camp, and now getting into the meat of the schedule, have you realized the uniqueness of the athlete? Do you see a difference in the athlete that you're coaching at the Naval Academy?
I think it's the uniqueness of the person. Okay. Just who they are. Okay. What they've chosen to do and where they want their lives to go. Those kids are fun to coach. Right. And so, and you got to understand certain things about their life. You got to understand that you can't, they got a lot on their plate. It isn't just football around here, right? They got hard classes. They have, there's a lot of nights they don't get a lot of sleep, because of the studying and other things they have to do from a service standpoint, so I think it's just understanding who they are. Like my middle son, Eli, we're trying to do everything we can. He wants to come to school here next year. I think that's that makes me really feel good as a dad, that this is a place that he wants to be because he got around our players. He sees what they're doing. He sees they're special people, so I think special people get the most out of themselves. Okay. I really do. I think these are the young men who'll get the most out of themselves. So how many pregame warmups we'll win? Who knows? Probably not many.
Right.
But these kids, whatever they have, I think they give it, and they, as a coach, you feel, a responsibility to put them in the very best situations to be successful. That's what, you want those guys to have success because they deserve it, so that's what I appreciate the most about getting to coach these kids.
Thank you.
Flags.
Drew, Coach Newberry said after the game that he had wanted to get Braxton in at some point, but are you all, as you move forward, are you going to be rotating quarterbacks or giving a half and a half, or is there a starting quarterback and only if that quarterback has to come out due to cramps or something of that nature, then you're going to the backup?
That's a great question. I don't know that I have an answer for that. I mean, Blake's our starter, and but we certainly see that Braxton brings some things to the table. So that's a nice thing to have two kids that you feel like can go do, run your offense. And they're not the exact same kid either, but they both can run and throw, right? I mean, they both can run and throw. So there's some uniqueness to them, but I think we're going to need both those guys to be successful this year. I think they're both going to have to be good players. What that looks like and how much each one of them plays all the time, I don't know that I have a good answer for that. I think, I'll kind of leave it at Blake's our starter, but you've seen Braxton as a very capable backup, and so we're going to do what we need to do to win. And I wish I'm not trying to evade the question or anything. I think that's kind of where we're at right now, knowing that we got two pretty good players there.
You're going to send the Navy fans on my Twitter timeline off because they've been watching 3 and 4 quarterbacks the last few years. They want one.
Do what now? I'm sorry, I lost you there. What now?
I said the Navy fans on my Twitter timeline they'll get upset with you hearing you say that because they've been watching 2 and 3 and 4 quarterbacks play the last few seasons. They're tired of it.
I understand. Tell them to calm down. It'll be okay.
I saw that in short yardage you went with the tush push. That is not necessarily something that Navy has employed in recent years. Is that what you like to do in the short yardage, 4th and 1, 4th and goal?
I think there's every game there's going to be some way we get to that, some way that we get to that, and it's just such an effective weapon, that when they change the rules, right? So the ability to help the quarterback, I think you're crazy if you don't do it, honestly. And then you watch the Eagles the Eagles were so good at that, the Philadelphia Eagles, and So yeah, that's something we're probably going to see a good bit.
So, Coach Newberry said on Monday that the team has to be prepared to play at a faster speed. Things are going to happen faster on Saturday than they did in the opener. How do you prepare an offensive player for that? I don't know how you teach them to play faster.
That's a good. I mean, we go out and just go. I mean, that's what we talk about. No fear of failure. No, don't play passive. Worried about making mistakes. I mean, you got to be fundamentally sound, right, and give great effort. And then we've got to do a good job. I got to do a good job as the way we design things and as a play caller of trying to keep an athletic defense on its heels a little bit, make them look at one more thing. You try to slow their ability down to play fast. So. Hopefully we can have a good mixture of both, that we can play fast and confident offensively, and we can be unique enough to make Temple slow down a step. And so but that's always going to be in our style of play. I think that's always going to kind of be the way we need to try to go about our business.
Last for me, Coach Newberry said the goal is to be the most improved team in the country from week 1 to week 2. What's that look like from an offensive standpoint? If you had to pinpoint where Navy needs to improve offensively, what would those be?
Just make the layups. Okay, let's make the layups. Hopefully, I'm not sitting here. Tuesdays always feel the same. You feel like you're probably trying to do too much. But that's how Tuesdays go, right? So I need to make sure I do a good job of managing how many wrinkles and all that, and still allow don't burden the kids with a whole bunch of stuff. Just let them go play. And, so I think that's it. I think let's make our layups, let's take care of the ball, got to do a little better job there. We can't put the ball in harm's way when we throw it. And when we can, ball security is everybody's job. It's got to be thrown. It's got to be caught. It's got to be handed off. It's got to be snapped. Okay. People got to have a hat on, folks. We can't have free hitters hitting folks. So, those are things that I felt like our ball security was very good in the run game Saturday. So we got to keep building on that. But I think our guys understand that the athleticism, the size of the teams we're getting ready to play is obviously going to, it's going to be kicking up a notch. I think they get all that. So I'm proud of our guys, and I think they'll go play their tail off. They're not going to play perfect. I'm not going to call a perfect game. But I think they'll go out there and put it all out there, and that's all we can ask of them. So just want to play clean and crisp and with confidence, and just believe in each other.
Pete.
I apologize if this was asked earlier, but just operationally, as a whole, you guys weren't having to call timeouts. Guys are getting in the huddle. Plays are, getting off on time. What did you think of just the entire operation of things as a play caller, using the headset, and obviously, seeing the guys go to the line of scrimmage and be able to get plays off?
Yeah, I was very happy with that. I was. I mean, because that's people take that for granted. I think you got to from everything you're signaling and calling and the formations and the movements. We do a lot, right? And I think we had to use one timeout in one situation. We didn't quite line up correctly, and so we need to get that all the way to 0. But I was pleased that I think we had one false start with it. It was when the young guys were in. So that's good to be able to snap the ball, put it in play, right? Not have pre-snap penalties. We got to clean up. We had the 2 chop blocks. One maybe.
The Cummings play, I've watched it 100 times. Cummings is nowhere near. It was 66 and 62. They called him the first one. Cummings circles around like almost to the second level, and he's going after somebody else. So the angle at which the center judge, I mean, I think that's part of it. It's perception, it's angle. I don't even know how he could have seen where Trey was based on the path Trey took. So I mean, I'm sure you guys send that in and get
No,
an
we-
answer, but
We
you know,
do, and we, if there's any gray area, we're certainly trying to teach what we're doing in such a way that we don't get penalties called.
right, sure.
So 4 penalties, like I said, one was a young guy in there late in the game. One was a holding call, I think on Eli, which, we got to, we can't have those things happen. Those things hurt. Those chop blocks are drive killers. Those are 15-yard penalties. So
Right.
we got to make sure we do our part correctly, fundamentally, and then obviously hope that they do their, hope the stripes handle their part the right way as well.
Awesome. Appreciate it, sir.
Excellent answer to that question.
Thanks,
Thanks, everybody. Thanks, Coach.
I had one more question.
Oh, I'm sorry. Go ahead, Wax.
Well, I was curious. I mean, there's a lot out there that we haven't seen of this wing tee. Is that correct? Would it be?
You've seen it. I mean, hey, White, you're sitting there. You know, there's stuff out there. You've seen it. It's practice.
Well, so Mike James, who does the film breakdown, said he watched the first half and he thinks Navy ran 5 or 6 plays, but just out of a lot of different formations. Would that be relatively accurate?
Who said that?
Mike James, our friend that joined us he does film breakdowns. You'll see he does video diagrams of what's going on with plays to show fans. He's pretty good at it, actually.
Yeah, I mean, and there were some things we just took what they gave us too. You won't want to beat your head trying to do certain things. So we want to have a lot of smoke and mirrors, right? We want to, run the same schemes from a different formation, a different motion, a different look. You want to try to keep things as simple as you can for your offensive line, and then have the bells and whistles off of that, right? So I think that's probably an accurate description, but we were able to hold some things, so you guys know y'all I love y'all, some of the questions y'all ask when you already knew the answer to that, Wags. So you've been out there watching, you're waiting on one of them other little deals to pop up.
Right. Well, I have to ask the question. I can't say it. You have to say it.
I got you. No, I mean, yeah, I mean it's nice. I feel like we have some things we can, some kids have executed some things in preseason camp and in the spring that I'm excited about, seeing, but you got to get someone's getting the right look. You don't want to fire a bullet when there's nobody to shoot at, right? So, just getting the right looks, and hopefully we can show a few of those wrinkles. But the main thing is going to be, how do you, with Temple, you gotta, hey man, look over here a little bit, and we're gonna go over here. You gotta have some of those things going on, and but still, the bottom line is playmakers, man. How are we going to get the ball to Eli? How are we going to get the ball to Chad? How are we going to get the ball to Teska and Dava? That's really what offensive football is. So my job is to make sure that we're doing that in an efficient way, and don't ask our guys to do something that doesn't make sense, right? And but also trust them, to go execute the fundamentals of what we're doing. So we'll get out there, and I promise you this: we're going to throw everything at them we got, and in an attempt to just have more points than they do.
Quick curiosity, the play that Dava scored the long touchdown on, was that a veer type play? It looked like it.
Yeah, it was.
Are you kidding me? Are you pulling my leg?
No.
I mean, it looked like the angle looked veer type like.
Yep, that's our veer dive. Yep.
I like it.
It was our most productive play, just with what they were giving us the other day. So yeah. Then maybe, you never know, it might pull it and pitch it one time. Who knows? But there's definitely some veer action in there for sure.